stuff that works, even in the new industry, like what's working for you, what really worked well, like what was the stuff that worked well, not just theory, but like stuff that like actually works. I try a lot of stuff and it flops and only certain things stick. So I was hoping you could just talk a little bit about that today, and I'll kind of talk about that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. In fact, I have kind of very top of mind right now in terms of this marketing system that we recently kind of put in play for the business, and it validates everything that I was doing in physical therapy, and it's very applicable for this business, but it also should, pertain well to your audience on the podcast piece. So yeah.
Perfect. I'll do a little intro here.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. My name is Don. I have Steve Massinio here. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks for having me, Don. Appreciate it. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. So for everyone, Steve is a physical therapist and kind of had a long history having a very successful practice, kind of left at the right time, and now is starting something else, but he's always been an avid marketer. So Steve, let me know kind of like your history between your interest in marketing and sales and business. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so great question. So when I started my physical therapy practice, it had to be almost 20 years ago. One of the things I realized out of the gates is that we needed to get the word out about our business and do so in a way that allowed us to ramp up our patient volume very quickly. And I ended up taking a course that really taught me how to write marketing messages. That it had a theory behind it, a process behind it that created some more engagement from the people reading the messages so that they would actually take action. And that's, concept known as direct response marketing. And, one of the guys I follow who's a noted guru in the space is a guy named Dan Kennedy, and his former partner, Bill Glazier, both very instrumental in my education. And so I started out just doing direct mail to physicians and really kind of building a case for why they should choose all access physical therapy as a means for getting their patients taken care of. And they would get a series of letters. And when I launched that first campaign way back when, we were probably doing about 70 visits a week, which was okay for a startup. Literally within 4 weeks, our volume doubled.
So it was like one of those 3-letter campaign type things they talk about?
It was actually a 7-letter campaign, but four letters into it, I was starting to see an increase in referrals from the local physicians who I was targeting. And obviously there was a demand in the marketplace, and the letters I had written were compelling enough. And those are back in the days when there really was, all you had is direct mail and maybe a website for them to visit and maybe some email follow up if they chose to get an email or not. They have all the tools that we have nowadays in terms of digital marketing and so forth. So over time, I continued to apply those practices in terms of direct response to the new channels as they opened up, and that include using YouTube videos, doing Facebook ads, and advertising on Google, leveraging SEO and Google My Business when that first came out, and making sure that we were always kind of top in mind in front of people as much as we could be, not only for the physicians but also for the consumers who were visiting those channels. So that was very successful. We were able to continue to grow and add volume over the years, and even when we started seeing an increase in the number of competitors coming into our local space. I mean, when I started my practice in Shrewsbury, there were just 2 guys, myself and another practice. And by the time I sold my practices, 20 years later, there were probably 7 or 8 clinics in our space that were literally maybe 2 miles from us, but it didn't impact our volume because we were constantly putting ourselves out there in various ways and leveraging all the channels to make sure that people knew what we were doing and why we did it, and kind of understood the care we took in taking care of them, and that made a big difference for us.
Now, Steve, for some people that are starting out, it's a little overwhelming to hear like multi-channel marketing, and even learning to write web copy or writing these letters and stuff like that. For someone that maybe is interested in learning it, reading Dan Kennedy's stuff, Do you just kind of do it in practice? In, how was it uncomfortable in the beginning? What was the
Yeah.
process? I find it intimidating. Even to today, I find it intimidating.
Initially it was, but after a while, when you start seeing the results and you start realizing that the direct response ad copy works on whatever channel you use it, it basically was a validation of what we were doing. So it became very easy to continue to do the same thing over and over again. And so, anybody who's just starting out, what I would recommend is, what's changed in the marketplace for, whether it's podiatrists or physical therapists, chiropractors, is there are people in those industries who have learned the various processes for marketing strategy. They've learned direct response copy. They've actually developed their own, a lot of done for you content that you can take, leverage for yourself, change it to your liking for your practice and what you do. And I would recommend seeking out one of those people. So for example, in the physical therapy space, there's a guy named Chad Madden. And frankly, a lot of what he taught is applicable across various marketplaces. Not you take the same content and apply it to a podiatry practice or to a chiropractic practice, but you get a lot of the stuff that's done for you, so you don't have to learn the philosophy. It's good to learn the philosophy and understand it for your own benefit, because that's going to make you more comfortable in launching those type of ad campaigns. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and they give you a process for taking advantage of the channels. And some of those companies out there that do this for particular practitioners, they'll take you right through it. They'll offer a coaching guidance program so that you do it step by step, so you're not going through overwhelm, and you're targeting the right people in a way that's organic to your own schedule, that you're not getting bogged down by having to do everything all at once. And you develop one system and you roll it out and you get good at it, and then you add another system, and then you get good at that and you add another system, and sooner sooner than you think, you'll have multi-channel marketing going on. And you just got to be willing to then track the performance of the ads you're putting out there, and make tweaks when necessary, and be comfortable making those tweaks, because sometimes just a change in a paragraph or a few words makes a huge difference for people, how people respond and want to take advantage of one service.
Wow, that's great, Steve. Now you're using a newer technology that is applicable to what you do now and what you maybe did before. Talk a little bit about kind of what's working for you now. You're in a different industry, and how's marketing? How has it helped you?
Yeah, so great question. It's funny when I transitioned to what I'm doing now, which is I'm a director of business development for an IT managed services company, and what that means is we manage companies, computers or networks or servers, that type of thing. And initially when I started out, I said, what, I can do all this stuff. I could write ad copy. I could utilize the same systems I was using in physical therapy. In fact, I brought my CRM over to this company and changed it out and started building, email follow-up campaigns and so forth. But what I quickly realized is it's very time consuming. And so I realized that I should leverage somebody else's content to help us move the needle forward. And so we invested in this, in this space called this company called Technology Marketing Toolkit, provided a lot of direct response marketing content for managed service providers like us, and we started leveraging that. However, the fault I made was not really following a systematic process for implementing it. So, I used it for a little bit and then shelved it and started doing more, prospecting on LinkedIn and connecting through networking and doing that type of stuff. But I realized over the course of the year that, that was all well and good, but it wasn't giving us the number of leads and contacts we wanted in order to generate the new business that we wanted. So, not too long ago, I went back to Technology Marketing Toolkit and made an investment in their coaching program, which, all the stuff they taught, I had it. I just
could have done it on your own, but you need someone to walk you through it, Steve, don't you? We all do.
Yes, exactly. I knew everything they were talking about, and I was able to implement everything they asked us to do, but I just needed that guidance, that structure to move the needle along. And now, for the first time in this company's history, because prior to me coming on board, there was no marketing campaigns, there was no funnel, there was no lead, tracking or anything like that. That's why my friend Martin brought me on. Now we have the system. Now we have a process for, okay, yeah, I can go buy a farm list. I can, clean the list and then make sure I can do a direct mail campaign and follow it up with some phone calls and so forth. And if I don't get an answer right away, that's okay. Now those same people are in my direct, marketing campaign, the follow-up marketing campaign, or what we call a drip campaign, and they'll continue to receive information from me. At some point in time, they want to buy, and they'll have that drip piece. We send out postcards, we send out newsletters, we send out email marketing to those who have given us permission to do so. And we do, we have follow-up calls scheduled in our CRM to remind us that, hey, reach out to this person again, that type of thing. So there's a whole system in place now that really only took me 13 weeks to put in, a quarter, which is really not a lot of time when you look at it. But now we have this back end, this funnel building, which is important, because as you continue to drip on people over a period of time, at some point in time, they're going to realize they need your service. They may not, and so in the healthcare realm, it could be they don't need your podiatry services right now, but 3 months later, you may have stubbed your toe and did a big, a lot of damage, more damage you realize, and now you need to go to a podiatrist. Well, you're going to be top of mind because you've been continuing to educate them all along. That's the whole idea, is having that system in place that allows you to continue to target those people you want to target and bring into your practice. And that's what I've implemented in the business here.
Steve, I think you hit on a really good point. You said that, I don't know if it's because we're similar, but I think we get attracted by bright, shiny objects, and you want to do a little bit here, a little bit there, write this book, do this email, look at LinkedIn. And now this, so basically you had all the content. Did you pay for, is it actually coaching one-on-one, or was it just basically modules that you went through that were automated?
Actually, this one was a little bit of both. In fact, it was more group coaching on a weekly basis, and then there was some one-to-one coaching that we do each quarter as part of our thing to just kind of dial it in for our own company. So that was, and it's very, very, very helpful. It's pretty much all I needed. And
you didn't need much. Yeah, no, you didn't need much.
But they also provided a level of accountability, a level of review of the content that I was putting out there, all the stuff that, validates what you're doing so that you can feel comfortable doing it. And that's what I really liked about it. There was more of that back and forth engagement that this particular company working has been exceptional in terms of, the type of help that they provide, even compared to some of the other companies I've leveraged in my previous business. So, for example, I think Chad Madden and all he's done with his breakthrough marketing for physical therapy was great, but it's not the level that this technology marketing toolkit is offering in this particular industry. And that's all well and good. You got to vet some of that stuff sometimes and get a sense of who's going to be right for you and what you're going to be comfortable with and the type of education they offer. I just happen to find one that really worked for us, and it's been really helpful. And we're set up for some really good success in the near future there.
Steve, one thing, since we're chatting, what I find with people is like, well, you'll buy the book, you'll read the book, and then you go to the next book, and you'll buy the next book or next program, and you read it, but then implementing, why is it so hard? Like, I have this thing I give everyone. It's called a 30-day practice blueprint. It's free. Like, it's everything I wish I would have known when I started out, and I put it all in here. But I can see how many people actually log in and look at everything. Like, people don't go through it. Like a minority go through it. And so I'm thinking maybe you have to stack on top of there, maybe like a weekly coaching call or something. Maybe it's the automated thing. Maybe we get tired of it. I think we get overwhelmed with too much information. Like you would look at that content that you had and you're like, how do I start? There's no organized time to do it. There's no, is that what you think it was?
I think it was. I think in the initial, program we bought, there were certainly modules I could have followed along with, but I think it comes down to time. And for me, I'm one of these individuals that, look, knowledge is great if you implement it. If you don't, it's just knowledge. It's sitting in your brain, and you don't do anything with it. It's not going to help you grow. And sometimes you need a little bit of a push. Some people working with you, some hand holding, some of that. Hey, I got to be in a group meeting.
Accountability. Otherwise, you look
accountability is a huge piece, and that's why people need to practice owners should be leveraging the expertise of those individuals who want to connect with them on a one-on-one basis or even a group coaching basis, because it provides them with the real human touch. Whereas if you go buy a module and you watch it and you go, okay, well, that sounds all well and good, and you try a little bit and there's no guidance and there's no back and forth, you don't get confident in really what you're doing. You may sound good talking about it because you read it or you watched the video or what have you, but if you're not implementing it for yourself and then, getting somebody to help you vet what you're doing, it can be challenging, and you end up going, that didn't work after maybe giving it only a 2-month try. That's not how marketing works. That's not how business development works. You have to continually working on it and continually be educating yourself and connecting with those people who've had the expertise to put you in a situation where you have the success you want. And ultimately comes down to this, Don, is whatever you invest in is what's the ROI? What's your ROI that you want out of it? What's going to make sense for you? And I always look at that, even with this technology marketing toolkit we're using, at the end of the day, I know what I need to do. And I want what I want to see from a return on investment standpoint in the next year based on everything we implemented. And certainly there's a lot of history with other business owners like us that have done very well implementing this whole strategy. And so it's great to have their feedback and be part of that community. However, I'm still going to look at the numbers at the end of the year and look at them every quarter for that matter and say, how is this really impacting my business? And so far, things have been really, doing well because we're certainly seeing more leads and having more conversations. That's a huge piece. And so it really comes down to, being accountable to yourself, to getting those things done, to trying things out, to working with those experts that can push you along, can nudge you in the direction that makes you feel more comfortable, but also that those same individuals are willing to be held accountable for helping your success. Because if they're not, then, frankly, they're probably not the right person for you and your practice. So, that's the other piece you got to remember when, you're investing in the type of stuff that we've been investing in to grow our business.
Steve, you said something interesting. There's a difference between knowing and talking about things in theory, drip response, Weber, Infusionsoft, and actually getting results from that. There's a difference between knowing about writing copy and headlines and actually getting results with the headline. So I think that's the key. A lot of people might be able to talk it, but unless you can actually see their results, like have they produced and can they reproduce for you, I think is key.
Absolutely. And also leveraging, the work people can do for you is another piece. So for example, part of the information I've got was just, all the different ways you can leverage social media and especially LinkedIn ads or Facebook ads or Bing ads or Google ads, that type of thing. But that's a lot. It's a lot for me because I don't want to be out there prospecting, having conversations. So, but I still want a back end system to drive in traffic. So I just, sometimes you got to make an investment and say, hey, you do it for me. Yep. You do it and here's my expectations. Here's what I want to see. And you track their results. Again, if they're not producing, you find somebody else, but there are plenty of good people out there in the marketing realm that you can tell them what you want from a client, type of clients you want, the business you do, what they should know, and they can handle it all for you and get people to respond and come into your practice. You just got to do the research and find the right people that resonate with you and what you're looking to accomplish in your business.
Yeah, Steve, as we finish up here, there's two last questions I want you to talk to. One is what do you see as the future in the next 2 or 3 years in the future? What other, are you going to do more of the same, or are there other things you're excited about? And the second thing is, and talking a little bit about our mastermind. We were in a mastermind for a number of years together. Was there a good ROI for that? What was the benefit of being in a mastermind and things like that? So those two questions.
Yeah. So what do I see moving forward? I really don't see things changing too much as far as what we do, because we're really targeted in terms of the type of audience we look to. So right now we're really focusing in the manufacturing space, the financial services space, and construction businesses. And those people in those businesses are in certain spaces. They have maybe more on LinkedIn, or maybe they're going to do their searches on Google. So I need to know where to apply the resources that we have from financially and take those ad messages and apply those to the areas where they're going to get those messages, and make sure I track it, make sure I get the leads and so forth. I don't see anything real new technology that's going to shatter the earth and down the pike and make things so much better in terms of lead gen. I think most of the stuff is going to stay the same, and that's why I'm planning on staying the course. Of course, in technology, you're always kind of looking and hearing about, and when those things come up, and if there's something that could be a game changer for us, certainly we'll evaluate it. And if it looks like it's promising, we'll implement it. You just got to be aware of it. But I wouldn't worry about, for me right now, I'm not worried about changing anything. As far as, the mastermind group, that's a good question. I get a lot personally and a lot of growth, personal knowledge and working with a group of different business owners and understanding the different challenges they face and being able to evaluate those challenges, provide guidance, and then have them do the same for me. But sometimes I can't. Well, realistically, I can't say that I've generated any business out of it.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful from a personal growth standpoint.
Yeah.
And we all need a little bit of that personal growth and, in our lives, especially with people. And I value the mastermind because, do I like to read? Yes. But, most of the time I don't read as much as I should because, life at home, challenging. I get home to get tired and sometimes I don't want to read, but I can access this group of people with great knowledge that do reading and share their knowledge. And I can pick up on some of the things they've learned and they can pick up some of the things I've learned through the different channels that I learned from. Right. That's the value of a mastermind as a whole, but I don't look at, mastermind as a means for growing one's business unless you develop, unless you're in a network of individuals who are all the same business and have shared experience. So
Yep.
This mastermind is multiple businesses. It's different businesses, different types of industry. You can join a PT mastermind or a podiatry mastermind, and now you're talking with your colleagues and you're sharing your experience and what's working, what's not working. Maybe that's going to be a little more, provide a little more return in that scenario, but obviously you got to evaluate it. But the, multi-business masterminds are just good for just improving your overall perspective on running and owning a business. And, if you take the information and apply it over time, yeah, you could probably, be able to track how it's helped you. And I frankly, quite frankly, haven't tracked that with the current mastermind.
Me neither.
But I like the people, I like the connections I have, and ultimately, there may be an opportunity. For example, one of the guys in the group approached me yesterday about a company he's working with that may need some IT support. So maybe they'll generate a referral too that could do well for our business. But again, I don't look at it as a money-making opportunity out of the gates. It's more of a kind of growth process for me.
Yeah, great, Steve. If so people want to learn more about you or get in contact potentially, what's the best way that they could get in contact with you, Steve?
Yeah, so they can certainly reach out to me. My phone number is 508-532-0837, extension 2. That's my Citara Systems offices. Our website's citarasystems.com, which is spelled CITARA systems.com. And certainly visit my LinkedIn profile, which is pretty easy, Steve Messinio. Send me a connection request and be happy to connect and share any insights and so forth about IT management or just general marketing and sales strategy. Happy to do that as well.
Great. Thanks, Steve.
All right, Don, thank you.